Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime History Buff. This is Maritime, and welcome to Titanic Week Episode 3. Previously, on April 11th, RMS Titanic had reached her final port of call, Queenstown, Ireland. Having anchored offshore, Titanic waited as two White Star tenders ferried the passengers third, first, and second class from the main port of Queenstown to RMS Titanic. She had received a few first and second class passengers and 113 third class passengers who were mostly Irish immigrants. Titanic had also delivered some mail and received some more. And a crewman, a stoker named John Coffey, had abandoned ship. Other than that, the day was mostly uneventful. On the next day, Friday, April 12th, she was around here. Like the previous day, this day was also mostly uneventful. But this was also the day that Titanic started to receive her first ice warnings. More details coming up. Alright, we are here with Oceanliner Enthusiast, and unlike last time, you guys can actually hear him, so hello, nice to have you here with me today.
Nice to be on. Hopefully, I'm able to be heard by everybody this time.
Yeah, I did a test recording and it seemed to work pretty well, so this time it works. So, bit of a
Exactly.
recap. April 11th, yesterday, wasn't too eventful except for the fact that Titanic, obviously, as we know, arrived to our last port of call, Queenstown, Ireland. Two White Star paddle steamer tenders, PS Ireland and PS America, transferred some passengers to Titanic from the port of Queenstown. Few first class, few second class, most were third class, and most of them were Irish immigrants. And then, of course, one of the stokers, John Coffey, who was from Queenstown, had actually abandoned ship.
Yeah, I did mention that originally. We forgot his name though. I think we didn't know his name at first.
Yeah,
And when we did our original call, I was saying someone abandoned the ship, but I couldn't remember his name.
yeah, he just decided, you know what? I do not want to leave Queenstown again, so I'm coming right back.
Lucky man, very lucky man.
Yeah. Now it is April 12th, and it is her first full day at the Atlantic. I forgot to mention, but
Yep.
yesterday, April 11th, she would have sailed along the coast of Ireland for most of the afternoon, passing the Old Head of Kinsale and then Fastnet Light, I believe is what it was. And then she reached the Atlantic. So April 12th, her first full day of sailing on the Atlantic Ocean. Nothing really happens, event wise. Nothing too notable, so we
Yeah.
won't have much to talk about. But the passengers were actually affected by heating issues starting April 10th throughout the voyage so far, although first class was not affected very much because, as we know, that most first class cabins in other areas had their own, separate electrical heating units. So, yeah, for the most
Yeah,
part,
I mean,
go on, sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say you're right. There's not much to talk about. Like this, what you were saying, there isn't really a lot to talk about for the 12th.
But yeah, for the most part, again, like I said, first class wasn't really affected. It would have mostly just been second and third class because they had a lot more. They didn't have their own, special heating units like first class did, and the heating problems also would have affected, mostly public areas.
Yeah. Also, there's nothing like event-wise we can talk about for the obviously the 12th. I mean, we could possibly talk about like the design of the ship, like all the areas for each class, possibly. Because I've got this lovely 1912 copy blueprint of the ship.
I think we could cram that in here in a few minutes. Actually, got a couple other things to
Yeah,
go through first, though. So, wireless operators, Jack Phillips and Harold Bride, for most of the voyage so far, they were very busy with wireless messages because not only were the wireless operators responsible for doing the emergency messages in Morse code or whatever, they were also responsible for doing other things, and they would actually relay messages to shore on behalf of passengers who had wanted to contact people,
yeah,
even though they were out on sea.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, they were doing a lot of passenger mail. That was what they were doing for the entire, basically the whole voyage up until the night of April 14th.
Yeah, and speaking of wireless messages, April 12th, sorry, was actually the first day that Titanic started to receive her first ice warnings. A French ocean
Yeah,
liner of the Compagnie Générale Transatlantique, the SS La Touraine, sent a message which said, "To Captain Titanic, my position 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, latitude 49.28 degrees north, 26.28 degrees west, dense fog since last night, crossed thick ice field, latitude 44.58 degrees north, 50.40 degrees west," and just really talks about a few more ice sightings here and there, but it ends off
yeah. I
with
mean, her first.
best
Yeah, I
regards
was gonna
and
say her
bon
first
voyage.
message. Yeah. I was gonna say like her first proper message about the ice wasn't even like a warning. It was actually a message. I think it was another ship was just like congratulating Captain Smith on command of the new vessel, and then it was just a quick little, oh hey, by the way, there's some ice. Like it wasn't really a warning as such. It was just like a little thing they threw into the message.
Ah, I see. But yeah,
Yeah, that was her first proper warning though from the French liner, I believe.
so yeah, April 12th was really when they started to get the ice warnings. And Titanic replied to Captain La Touraine, "Thanks for your message and information. My position 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, latitude 49.45 degrees north, 23.30 degrees west. Greenwich had fine weather. Compliments, signed by Smith, Captain Smith himself." So basically, that was Titanic's, first, like you said, proper warning of ice, and that's
Yeah.
going to basically set the stage for what's to come in the next few days.
Yeah, and for the next, like I said, like the next couple of days, their weather was perfect. There was barely there was absolutely no like issues with weather the entire voyage at all. Like they had absolutely perfect conditions all the way through.
Yeah.
So like they saw no ice the entire time either.
But what's interesting is just how well the voyage, you know, as a whole went until 11:40 p.m. April 14th. Because prior to that,
Yeah,
nothing really went wrong except for the near collision with SS City of New York at the port of Southampton. That was a very close call.
yeah, because everybody's like, oh, it wasn't just that. There was the coal fire, but the coal fire wasn't really that big a deal.
Yeah, it really
That
wasn't.
was going on. It was like a tiny, tiny fire.
I believe coal fire was also responsible for Titanic having to list the port. I think because they had to like transfer coal from one bunker to another on the port side of the ship.
Yeah, yeah. She had a three. I think it was like a 3 degrees list to port.
Yeah. I think it's 3 degrees. Yeah,
Yeah.
between
So she
three and
was
five,
like
I'd say.
normally this is Titanic. This isn't her, but like she'd normally be like that, but she was like kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah. It
And like
really
I
wasn't that
mentioned
bad.
originally, but it wasn't in the video. My audio got cut off. But that's because the reason a passenger slipped and fell on the grand staircase because of the list.
Ah, right. Well, wasn't it the one who broke her arm? Or was that because like the slip?
Yeah, that was her.
Because we know the
Yeah, it's
tall
because the
floor
floor
was a
was
bit
slippery.
slippery.
As the floor was slippery, and she didn't expect the angle, so she slipped because of the angle and the slippery floor.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the list, I'd imagine, would have caused slight problems, but for the most part, it wasn't really that bad.
yeah, it wasn't. It's barely noticeable.
I think that's about everything for April 12th. Because other than that, there really wasn't much to talk about. When it comes to events.
Yeah, it's like I've said before. I'll say it many times, but every day except for the departure with the collision, the near collision, and April 4th, like in between those days from departure and April 14th, eventless. There was no noteworthy events.
Yes. So
I believe one of the days, I can't remember what day it was, but they did have a lifeboat drill, and I don't think that many people actually attended.
that reminds me, there was a crew muster on the 12th of April. I can't remember the details too
Yes,
much. I just know that a crew muster happened,
yeah, there was a crew muster, yeah.
and then they had the emergency cutters swung out for some reason. I can't exactly remember.
They were always swung out the whole voyage
Ah,
at all times. They're because they're American cutters, like they have to be out. So like the idea is if there's someone like a man overboard or like a sinking ship, those boats can just be like immediately lowered.
got it.
Yeah, it's a miracle when the ship hit an iceberg that like they didn't, because she was quite close actually. So it's surprising that they didn't scrape it at all.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That would have been that could have made a significant difference, I think.
yeah. In terms of like the amount of survivors, because
Yeah, because it would have
obviously the
been
terms
one.
were used.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, it wouldn't have just been the boat. The davits would have probably been ripped and damaged, and they couldn't have been used. And I believe on the wreck, the very forward starboard davit, there's still one cranked up, back in, ready to go.
That would have been Murdoch. That had to be
Yeah, that was
Murdoch
for the
because we know that
collapsible.
he died trying to get as many people off the ship as he could. So he would be
Yeah.
cranking the davit back up and probably got sucked out by the water or something. But he died doing what he was told to do by Captain Smith, which was to evacuate the passengers.
He did it well. He did it really
Yes,
well. He was
very well.
amazing.
And
Mhm.
what's interesting is the orders that Captain Smith gave. They were interpreted two ways. It was either women and children only, which is what Second Officer Charles Lightoller did, and in Murdoch's case, it was women and children first, and then if there were room for men, let them aboard the lifeboats as well.
Yeah, and that was the way it was meant to be. But obviously, Lightoller, he was a very strict, like protocol-driven man, and he thought it would be noble. Most people say, I think that's what it was. That it was more noble for the men to die with the Titanic,
Yes, because back
and it
then,
was also to give women boats.
yes, yeah, back then, chivalry was a pretty big deal. Obviously, that's why you had a
Yeah,
lot of men stay on board Titanic. Like, for example, that one first class passenger, I believe his name was Benjamin Guggenheim, I believe. If my memory serves me correctly, he
yeah,
said something along the lines of,
yeah,
"We are dressed in our best and prepared to go down as gentlemen."
yeah, and they did.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing as well about Lightoller, just refer to this. It's not in the picture, but also you've got the cutaway gangway here with the little like cutaway, and then the screens, and two best friend passengers from first class. They jump out here onto a lifeboat on Titanic's port side, and Lightoller almost called them back to the ship.
Oh,
The
dang.
sinking final plunge ship. No, Lightoller,
Wow.
don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't.
The
That's
fact the idea even ran through his head is insane to me. That is just crazy.
yeah.
Because that was in the Titanic's final 10 minutes as the bridge was about to go under.
You know what's interesting is the way the ship sunk. It took about 2 hours for the bow to go fully under, and then the last 20 minutes happened so quickly. She sunk so quickly in the
It
last 20
was
minutes.
so rapid. It was insanely quick.
Like, she went from sinking very slowly to sinking very quickly. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine right before she obviously split, she must have like just took this immense, like very quick dive down. Because the funnels, when they fell, obviously they would have opened gigantic holes
Oh,
into
yes,
the
they
ship, all the
definitely
way down
would
to the
have.
bottom. Yeah,
Because the funnels
I mean they did.
obviously.
You know,
Because the funnels obviously were directly connected to the exhaust, I guess you could say, of they were directly connected to boilers, and even today's
yeah,
modern ships, this still applies. The exhaust has to go somewhere, so funnels on modern ships are directly connected to the exhausts of the engines.
yeah. The smoke needs to go somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah,
and in Titanic's case, these were very large holes, just in the ship. So when it's sinking, that's going to have a lot of water pouring in, obviously, very rapidly. It's going to weigh the ship down and cause it to go down even quicker.
yeah. I think. Sorry, that's something going off there. No, I think the Titanic's funnels were like what, like 6 stories tall.
Yeah, I think they were.
They're huge. Because in comparison, her engines were only 3 stories tall, and that's still huge.
Yeah, triple expansion steam reciprocating engines were just very large, very heavy
And
too.
they are like incredible pieces of technology. They're like still, I still find them incredibly like fascinating how they worked.
Honestly, same here.
Yeah, I've seen because I've been on the Waverley, and I've seen triple expansion in action. They're surprisingly quick. the way they move.
I've always wanted to see those engines in person.
They are. Joe, I'd love to see the big two-story one they've got in a museum somewhere in England
Dude.
because there's like the closest thing you get to see the Titanic, basically.
You know that scene from the James Cameron's film where they show the engines going? That is one of my favorite
Yeah,
scenes in the entire film. I'm not gonna lie.
that footage. I don't know if you know that footage is from a Liberty ship's engine. The John Brown, I think it is.
Oh, that's interesting. I spilled water on the computer. Oh my gosh. It's not much, but it happened. I gotta. Yeah, we can keep
Yeah,
talking,
I
but I
dropped.
gotta
I mean,
wipe this
I
off
dropped.
quick.
Yeah, sorry.
We can keep talking, but I gotta wipe this off.
That's fine. Yeah, I was just saying the footage of the engines is like from the John Brown ship. It's scaled up, like footage of the engines
Yeah, that's
in action.
actually super interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I only found that out like a couple months ago, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, but the sound of the triple expansion engines is one of my favorite sounds ever. I love it.
Oh, dude, same here.
I'd love to see Titanic's turbine engine in action. There's, there is like, I don't think there's that many pictures of the Olympic class ships turbine engines actually.
Yeah, that's honestly such a shame. Because
Yeah,
back then, photography was very expensive. Cameras were very expensive because they were new technology. That's also why there is a lack of media coverage when it comes to the RMS Titanic because media companies figured, hey, taking pictures is expensive. We have pictures of Olympic and Titanic are so similar. Why not just use photographs or footage of Olympic?
yeah, and they did that with the sinking, like I mentioned, with the tugboats in New York scratching the names off. They just passed the footage off as Olympic, and the public probably bought it. But I think a lot of the keen-eyed people who knew their ships would have been very like quick to notice it wasn't the Titanic.
Yes. 1912 Photoshop, that's what I like to call it.
Yeah, it's great, honestly. But yeah, the ship, like I said, 12th of April, uneventful. But like honestly, my favorite thing to talk about with Titanic, the sinking's interesting, but I like just talking about like the ship as it operated on its few days at sea because the ship is like a marvel of engineering for the time.
You know, we ought to do a video on that one day.
Definitely, like just
That would be a
like an
very
overview
fun
of the
thing to do.
that would be. And she's got so much stuff to talk about. Like she's got, I'm looking at like the little blueprint I pulled off, and she's got like so much stuff. There's a lot to cover.
You know, one of the most interesting aspects of the RMS Titanic, I think in my opinion, would be the third class accommodations when you compare it to other vessels. You look at third class on other ships, for example, the third class accommodations really weren't that good, but then when it comes to, Titanic herself, third class accommodations were honestly really great for their time.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the like the blueprint design, and it's like the third class cabins aren't even marked on the official White Star Line plans, as if they were like just didn't want
Oh,
to show the
dang.
third class passengers.
Poor third
The only
class.
things you can, the only thing you can see is like third class something. I can't read it, and then it's just third class berth, third class berth, third class dining room. And that's it.
You know, there's something about Titanic that annoys me, and it's the fact that the second class doesn't get attention, and I think partially the reason for this has to do with Cameron's film, obviously because of the Jack and Rose love story. You know, Rose is first class, Jack is third class. Everybody loves Jack, so
Yeah,
they love third class. Everybody loves Rose, so they love first class. Second class doesn't really get a lot of attention. And what's interesting is that second
it's
class is a
second
mix of
class is
both.
no, because second class is like the awkward middle child.
Yeah,
First class is
exactly.
the oldest. First class is like it's underlooked but not overlooked, and then third class because people think all the passengers are a lot below, which isn't true. They think that like that's the one that everybody looks at, third class, and then second class is the awkward middle child that no one pays any attention to, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, second class was a mix of both. They weren't as bad as third class, but they weren't as good as first class. It's like the middle class, really, between rich and poor. Second class was just a mix of both, really.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that people really talk about with second class is the second class grand staircase and the elevators. That's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like that those are the two most noteworthy things about second class that everybody knows of.
that is true.
And it's funny because the second grand staircase is actually really overlooked because not a lot of people really know that there was one. Because when you hear grand staircase, you think about the forward one.
Yeah. A lot of people tend to forget that Titanic had two grand staircases. Like you said, there was one on the aft end of the ship, one on the forward end of the ship, and everybody only ever thinks of the one on the forward end.
You know, to be fair, they're both very beautiful.
Yeah, grand staircase honestly would have to be one of my most favorite locations on board RMS Titanic. Because I mean,
Oh yeah. See,
really, just
I'd love to stand in like, the replica staircase. I've always wanted to just see one of those.
dude, same here.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of April 12th, I think we've covered pretty much everything. And uh, yeah, I think that's about it. Also, I found out that Titanic Honor and Glory, they're doing literally the same thing I'm doing on this channel. And they can do it
Yeah,
better
so
because they have the best researchers, fancy 3D animations, and then there's just me, a random 17-year-old making videos on his phone.
I'm working on my project right now, and I'm still waiting on a response because I really want. I need to know if I can use the footage or not.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not even just gonna bother using their animations because I don't want to get in trouble.
I've already like put stuff together. That's the problem.
Ah, I'm
I
trying to
know. I
learn.
really need.
I've been learning 3D modeling because I want to get to a point where I can just make my own models and animations. I'll pop a picture
Yeah,
up, but I am working on a model of the RMS Titanic, which I've already shown you. But I got a picture
it
right here
looks
in the
amazing
video.
so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks so good. It's better than what I could do. I can't model. I don't have the capabilities or the like the skills to do 3D modeling.
What's weird is that when it comes to ship modeling progress, there was a point where I like was really bad at it, and then something clicked, and I managed to get good. I don't really know how to explain it. Just something clicked on my mind, and I got decent at it. But yeah,
Yeah. No,
Titanic Honor and Glory, they're doing pretty much what we're doing, but better. So I kind of feel like the whole Oreo Hydrox thing, where Hydrox, they're doing their thing. Oreo does the exact same thing. They do it better. Everybody loves them. You know, Titanic Honor and Glory, I love their content, and they're gonna be doing basically what we're doing, but better. And it's like that situation where you know you're trying to make good content, and you got this crazy competition, but you know
thing the thing is though, is like as a YouTuber who's like brand new to history and stuff, and I'm not monetized yet because YouTube has a really dumb policy where you need this ridiculous amount of YouTube Shorts watches. I don't make YouTube Shorts. That's the problem
oh, good
because I
grief.
don't need to. Yeah, to get monetized now, you need to have a certain amount of YouTube Shorts views, which
That's
I don't agree with.
I do not like shorts at all.
No, it's complete utter brains flop. Like it's
Yeah,
just nothing good on it. The only good stuff is Mike Brady shorts
yeah,
and the historic travel shorts. Those are the only two things I actually like.
but yeah, yeah. In terms of April 12th, that's basically everything. So yeah, I think we just end it off here. Great having you.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you'll be able to
thank
attend the
you.
rest of the videos. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.
But like I said, I'm off till April 14th, so I will definitely be available for the day of the sinking.
All right.
Well,
Sounds
the
like a plan.
collision. The collision, anyway.
So yeah,
Like
very great
proper.
having you here in the videos.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
really nice to have a
Thank you for
collaboration.
having me.
Yeah, no, not a problem at
Yeah,
all.
it's good. Yeah, well, thank you very much, and just everybody remember subscribe to Maritime History Buff. Makes great content and good 3D modeler. He's good at everything he does.
Thank you very much. And consider subscribing to Oceanliner Enthusiast. I will drop a link to his channel in the description.
Thank you very much, my friend.
He did a really good tour of the. I can't remember the ship's name. I'm very sorry. I cannot remember.
Glenlee, did you watch that?
The what?
Yeah, Glenlee, did you watch?
Glenlee.
Did you
Yes, I
watch the
saw the
video?
video. Really nice video. Spectacular.
Yeah, Yeah, then I got invited on to do an interview, which was
Oh
hilarious.
yeah, the interview was pretty nice. But yeah, consider
I
subscribing to
found that
Ocean.
hilarious. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, consider subscribing to the Oceanliner Enthusiast. Makes really nice content. This absolutely lovely tour of the Glenlee. I'll drop a link to that as well in the description.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah, thank you for
that's
having me. It's
everything.
been a great
Yeah,
interview.
been a pleasure. Not a problem at all. And that was day 3 of Titanic week. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell icon so that you'll be notified the next time I upload. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night.